bread,
It
and
feels like
there's
what? Two?
it feels like two pieces of bread, and I'm making a sandwich,
Yeah.
and all the stuff in between. Like I know there's a lot of stuff in between.
So is this like where you have a big thing in June or you're planning all
No,
your work in June
no,
and it's all the steps to get there?
no. It is that I have a lot, uh, like this month, March, April, and May, and it's not until June that I don't have anything like
Oh,
solid. But there's a lot between now and June. And it's all good. That's the thing. Like I
yeah.
got no complaints about any of it.
But what is
Um,
the main sensation you're having around this as you describe it?
Enthusiastic excitement. Whatever I wrote. What did I say my keywords were?
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about all of it. And it's sort of a mix between giddy and just a little bit of the nervousness of knowing that all these wonderful things are happening. Even good things make you a little bit nervous
Yeah.
sometimes.
So there is some nervous.
Um,
What would you
yeah.
rather, like, as you go through this call today and as you set a practice for kind of like why you were here, what are some of the emotions you'd either rather be feeling or what would you like to get out of today? Is it more clarity to on more steps or a different energy around it? What would you love to get out of today?
Maybe whoever said calm curiosity.
Yes, Patrick, thank you.
Patrick, I like the calm part.
Okay,
I
calm.
feel like
Yeah,
I'm not as calm as I would like to be. How about that?
there. Okay. Yeah.
Even with the excitement of it, I'm not. I just want to like
Yeah, like excitement can
breathe
be
and
good,
receive,
but then
right?
it also can feel nervous. It's a very similar
Yes.
energy. And
Oh, another word that pops into my mind is allow. I'm a make it happen kind of person.
uh,
And I think some of this I need to just allow.
yeah. Also, just as an aside, when we are, there are ways that we need to have our brains in June to get there, right? Like there's, but if we are always, if our mind is always on what's ahead, we're holding 4 or 5 months instead of just today. So I
That
want to make
part.
that invitation when you're noticing your feeling, because that is what can get overwhelming is that we invite in thinking about like the bigger picture, but we stay kind of stuck there and
Mhm.
it pulls us out of our present where we can take action.
Yes,
So I want to just make
that's
that.
perfectly
Yeah. Okay.
stated. Yes.
Great. And what I'll talk about a little bit is shifting, like, what are some ways as you're going through this example, what is triggering giddy and excitement? And then, ooh, what's giving you nervousness? And then inviting you, what are ways you can be thinking that create calm as I go through the model? So that is what
Okay.
I'm inviting you to. Anybody else want to
Sure.
offer? Thank you. That was really, and thank you for letting me ask more questions. I'm reading Rebecca's. Yeah, so the A line, Rebecca, we'll talk about the thought model in a way that when we get nervous, that is from a particular thought. And we may get to some time that I can coach you individually. When you're going through this session today, is being aware of the thoughts that are creating that nervousness for the next test. And then what do you desire is a way of feeling like what emotions really work for you when you are in a great study mind, like in a study flow. When you're studying and you know it's going really well and your brain's like, "Oh, I'm understanding this new concept, things are coming. I can do this." It feels more confident. Like note as we're going through the model what emotions really work for you in that shift. And I'll explain further. Do you have anything else to offer? Please feel free to speak up. Okay, Cheryl or Patrick or Emily, and if no one else wants to share personally, that's okay. I will get going and start teaching. Would you like to share anything, Cheryl?
Mine, it's along similar lines in that last week kicked off. I do a lot of travel in my position, presenting at events, at conferences. And this past week kicked off that travel for the whole year. So
Yeah.
kind of what you're saying, Anita, but I mean, but not as enthusiastically as you were saying, is that I'm my brain is already going to the bigger event, like some of the international events that'll take me out of the country, the bigger ones
Yeah.
where I have some much smaller ones that precede that. And then without without going into a lot of detail, but what's happening now, as it does with many professions, what's happening now with executive orders and such
Is it affecting you?
very much affecting the people that I serve, the programs, institutions, universities. So Anita, I think you said this too. You get like I want that. I have that fix it mentality, get it done mentality,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that can be fixed about this.
Yeah. Or
And
even
then
plans sometimes too, right? Like we spoke
yeah,
about that. Cheryl and I are friends and we were able to be at fun sushi lunch this weekend. But like looking at this dynamic that's going on, it's like then everybody's hampered and doesn't know what to plan because there's so much uncertainty
yeah.
around it. And I think that's a really difficult place mindset management wise to
And
be.
that the constituents they understand that
Yeah,
just as much as I do,
right.
but I still have
Fix it. So
sure.
the problem
Yeah.
is that you want to fix it and
Yes.
it's not fixable. So as you go through the workshop today, a way that you can look at this is what thoughts trigger that fix it energy? And is that helpful? What are ways that you could, like, really deciding how you want to feel about travel and Mondays and all the things, and realizing that you actually have a choice on how to think about your life? And it's not wrong that we get upset about different things that happen. I mean, obviously, that is life. But when we start feeling our empowerment will come from understanding that if we are already choosing to travel, it's already on our calendar. We are choosing like all the work that Anita's talking about. When we have already decided that's what we're doing, and then we don't like it, and then we don't feel good about it, and we're like almost mentally rubbing up against our own selves, like we're taking our power away. You get to be like, oh, it's Monday and I've got to get on an airplane. We don't have to be happy about everything all the time, but there is a powerful space where we can realize we've chosen this and we get to feel okay about it. We get to neutralize some of our reactions. It's like hating school and then you get halfway through your day and you're in your favorite class and you realize you actually like school. Like you think as a student. We're kind of taught to hate Mondays, and I think we bring this mindset into our lives and we end up being our own worst enemy mentally because we're already hating our day. And then our brain is in a negative space and kind of looks for evidence of not having a great day. So I want to invite the group on like, how do you want to be feeling about the different things that are going on? Emily or Patrick, just let me know if you'd like to participate. Oh, job search. Yes, Patrick, there is nothing more challenging than keeping your confidence and positivity during a job search. So, welcome. I think there are others that might be in your space. And yeah, it takes creating job search and interviewing here as well. So, Emily and Patrick are both in that space. And it takes a lot of self coaching to be in a healthy space when you interview. And I really believe the more that we double down on our mindset during that type of season, but also create a really thriving lifestyle that supports like taking really great time off during it, doing things that really rejuvenate your spirit, creating dance parties in the kitchen, creating things that really just naturally nurture a human that is on that path, because it brings so much to the plate in terms of mindset. And So I want to just offer that. This is a time where these tools, I hope, can be really helpful to all of you for all the different reasons. So my goal is that you walk away with simple practices, write notes as I'm doing this workshop, and decide when I offer like asking a question or a certain practice and you're like, I can do that, or that feels that resonates with me. Doing a group class, I can't fully always tailor to each person, but I want you pay attention to what, like, oh my gosh, I love the way that she said that, and simplify the way that you do and personalize the way that you integrate these tools from today. My goal is that you can relax when things feel really hard, when you feel the most nervous, Rebecca, and you're about to go study, that you realize and understand that is your brain in a certain cycle that is not helpful. And you get to interrupt it with curiosity and love so that you can be in a space you really want to be. So that's the simple practices in the heat of the moment. We will use the thought model for awareness. I'm going to do that next. Understanding that the secret to interrupting moments on the spot will come by being very full of grace towards yourself. It is from self-compassion. It is the most powerful tool. Curiosity is another word that works for a lot of people. When you can just be curious, is like, I wonder why when I most want to do this, I'm thinking this and it shuts me down. Fascinating. Oh, when I was a child, I was always yelled at because when I did this certain thing, and oh, I can just be aware that's an old trigger. So being aware of some of the patterns that happen for you when you don't want them to, like it's like our mind doing it without our permission. Know that's where you can use awareness to interrupt those moments on the spot with curiosity to dig in and understand what's happening. How to give distracting emotions their space. When I hate like I had to give myself the jacked up space, like me just admitting I was upset that my acuity wasn't set right for this call. I just hired a virtual assistant to admin all my things, so that won't be happening as much. When I admit it, it allows it. If I got on here thinking I had to be confident and perfect and all in, like as a coach, because I'm doing this workshop, oh my God, all these people are coming. Of course, those thoughts all cross my mind. But when I admitted that I'm jacked up, of course you are, darling. Take a deep breath, lean into the people that know me here, know that I'm among friends, and take a deep breath. I can breathe through that initial reaction. That's the magic of managing our mind and becoming a self-coach, like becoming someone that really understands that any emotions that come up aren't wrong. When we buck up against them, they become a thought cycle and they're hard to get out of. When we lean in and kind of go, oh, of course I'm feeling that way today, and because this happened, but is that really what's true? Is the whole, like, our 15 people not going to be on here today because this happened? No, I emailed them twice. I was able by, like, nope, there's a couple people that are missing, but they have next week. They can come on my other session. And so I can calm myself, talk myself off a cliff because I've learned to be more self-compassionate when I don't feel great. The key to creating, this is really the key to creating more creative flow in your life. This is the key for job hunters to feel great in the morning, even though at 8 a.m. you were freaked out or had a dream about losing your job, or like you have all this stuff going on and you know you're leaning into making contacts that day and you know you want to feel well. This is being so on to yourself, like, of course I feel that way. But this is what I know. And that's like choosing intentional thoughts, not mantras, intentional ways of believing about ourselves and the situation we're in. That creates more flow and it kind of lets the frustration die to the wayside. For you, Rebecca, it would be choosing some thoughts today that are really go-to beliefs that really help you to calm down when you start studying and help you to pace out in a very realistic way the way to study for your next exam. These are just examples from like what you're bringing here. Any questions so far? What questions do you have about anything that I've shared so far? All right. We are going to get into my favorite tool. I use this subconsciously most of the time with clients now. I don't always use it on the board, but when I teach here, oh, I'm sorry the phone app isn't working. Sorry, Rebecca. This will be recorded, and you also can join me next week at noon on Monday if you need to redo it. Don't feel bashful about doing that. What I love doing here is I will coach someone that would like to be coached on what's going on for them, and then we'll run through the model. It's the easiest way to understand, and I will coach as many as are available and want to be coached. I don't force anybody to be coached, but if you want to be coached through something, oh, but you can't talk. Yeah, so keep using the chat. And does anybody use, Anita, do you use the mobile Zoom app very often? Does
The
anybody
mobile
else use?
Zoom app, I do, yes.
Is there a place to turn on the microphone that maybe Rebecca doesn't
Oh, she has to
see?
swipe whichever way. You probably have to swipe, and then there's a thing that says tap to speak.
Okay, great. All right, maybe that'll work.
I
And Rebecca,
do
you're
see
welcome.
that part. I haven't figured out how to be
But you
how
just
to
did.
There you go.
see
You
you guys,
can
but I am here and I'm listening and I'm packing up from work and going to listen more in the car.
No
do it
worries. This is
now. Yay.
Rebecca. That's awesome. But feel free to, if two people talk at once, I'll let one start and the other. Don't worry. And I'm glad you figured out the tap to speak because I would like to coach you on your test taking if you want to later on the call. So first, what I want to remind you is when we're stuck in a certain way of thinking that's feeling horrible, like we're super stressed or super frustrated, curiosity can loosen it. And the thought model helps us to understand what's going on. So I am going to, we have two people about jobs. So we're going to use jobs as the example and use a rhetorical example to teach the model right now. And then I will coach. So job search. This is like the no job, want a job. We're not retiring yet. Thank you. Yes, we want a job. So that's the circumstance that's factual. That's true. Circumstances in this model are always factual. A lot of times we think that a thought is a fact, like I'm never going to get a job, or the job market's really tough, or like there are ways that this situation, circumstances, trigger our thoughts. The thoughts, the reason it has a green asterisk, is where we have agency to decide what we want to think and believe. And not in a Pollyanna way. I'm going to get a job tomorrow. Nope, you're not in final interviews. That's not true. Your brain knows it's not true. But we can, whatever this circumstance triggers this thought is what plays out through the rest of the model. And I'll explain. Because our thoughts, I'm going to say what a lot of us will like, this is for people looking at houses. It's a tough housing market. When we have thoughts and opinions about our circumstances, it affects how we show up in the world. And that's where I want to help everyone to be thinking in a way and aware of what their thoughts are that might be creating unintended results. So tough market. We're just going to say that's what our two job seekers are thinking. Anytime you don't have a job, it is a tough job market. It just is. This is not an easy process, and things moving online. It's different for some of us in ways that we've looked before. And so it's a valid thought. But is this thought helpful? That's what I want us to all to be thinking about our thoughts. Is it helpful? Like it could be, and I want you to be with what you brought to the call today, starting to write down what you're thinking about the issues you brought to the call. The busy calendar until the end of the year, the having failed the test and now taking it again. What are all your thoughts? When we also just honor what's going on in our mind, it almost feels like we bring subconscious thought or things that are playing on the background to our forefront, and then we can manage them. every thought creates an emotion. So a lot of times when this would be a classic, if we are in the job hunt and we think the thought, it's a tough market, a classic response would be that would feel disappointing. I might feel really disappointed if I believe and think that it's a tough job market. Our feelings create every action. If we are feeling fear, we will be in inaction. If we are feeling excitement, we might take a lot of action. We might talk fast. I've learned that when I'm nervous and not grounded, I will interrupt you. I will talk too much, and I will be a little too high energy. I won't be able to read the room. So when I'm nervous, this feeling creates an action in me that I'm very aware of. Sometimes I catch it, sometimes I don't. I'm a human living my life. Sometimes I get in that space, right? So, but this is the key on this type of model, when we are consistently feeling disappointed, how do we act? What actions come out of that emotional space? And for most of us, the more negative, lower energy emotions, fear, disappointment, even overwhelm. Oh, we lost Rebecca. Will cause us to lean back. It causes inaction. We might push through with another thought, and I'm just going to do this anyway. We might get through it that moment, but sometimes not honoring this makes the actions that we take with a different thought much less aligned and more busy work, or just like taking action to take action. Inspired action comes from more high integrity, great feelings and thoughts. And that's what I love helping my clients get to. So disappointed might be less action because you see less possibility. There's less steps. There's low mood on calls. Every time we feel disappointed, we have a reaction to this. Oh, good, Rebecca's back. When we're in this feeling state of disappointed, let's say 80% of the time, and we take less action, or we're in a lower mood, we're just more discouraged. We might even be networking, speaking to someone, and we don't even realize that we're like, yeah, I'm looking for a job. Or we push through and we're like, yeah, then we get in the graspy side of this and we're like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm like looking for an opportunity. And we barely heard what the person said. And this all is a reaction to feeling disappointed and wanting something different. If a lot of the actions over a period of a month, say, if you're 80% of your thinking is, this is a tough market, you're really feeling disappointed, you still push through and do the things, but take less action, you're not as authentic as maybe you might be if you were feeling better. The results are tough. For you, it is a tough job market. And I'm not being trite here. Our brain loves to be right. So if we think that it's a tough market and it creates this emotional state and less action, we have created our own tough job market because we miss opportunities. We are not at our best self either. And that is where mindset can be so powerful, is being very aware. It's not wrong that you think this thought. We don't fight against any of the thoughts, but we decide what thoughts we want to be more consistent with, or ways that we want to believe. And it's like, yeah, I just heard that bad jobs report, but I know that there's an opportunity for me. I'm wondering if I should call. Like, if you just bring in something that feels like possibility, it shifts the whole action line. Our actions in a cumulative way create, and if it's aligned with this model, if you think it's a tough job market, our brain will look for all the data of a tough job market and miss opportunities and kind of sit in the background. and we will have created a tough job market for ourselves. Our brain just loves to be right. If you don't think you're going to pass the exam, your brain will look for all the data, Rebecca, that you won't pass the exam. Good job. I love driving clients. This is where we honor with a lot of compassion that we're thinking that way. Rebecca literally has a circumstance that she had a test where she didn't pass. You can tell her 1,000 people took it and didn't pass also alongside with her, but that doesn't matter. She wants to pass. But if her brain without management locks into, I'm not going to pass, it creates a miserable experience here because that's discouragement. I'm not going to pass the next exam no matter what I do. Discouraged creates, our brain is not in a great learning space. We're in that lower energy. And when we're discouraged, we don't think of more creative ways to learn. We don't think of, oh my gosh, I'll study when I'm in the car. I'm going to get books on tape on that. Or I'm going to get a tutor. Or we don't get creative. We're not in, our actions are coming from, again, a negative thought. And over time, and then the brain will like to be right. See, I told you. And you're like, oh, I'm on to you now. That's the interrupting the cycle here. So that's a very basic way to teach the model. It's not as much fun in a rhetorical way as it is with being coached. And I will coach each and every one of you if you like. But I want to see here, because some are new to this, what is not clear in what I've explained. What is coming up for you after hearing this explanation of the thought model?
Can I ask a question, Diane?
Yes, Cheryl.
Because I read up a little bit more on this after the last session, and we're starting in these examples at circumstance, but
Yes.
you can start in other areas. And can you
Tell me more. What? Yeah.
I mean, can you start with the action or inaction? Can you start
Yes. So you can use this model in any way you want.
and then fill and then
Yes. And
yeah.
yes. And it's one of the most powerful ways. Like when I do a deep dive coaching, when someone's really in, like in my last, I think were you on the workshop where we talked to, let's see, remember I did 2 of them. But I was able to coach really very specifically with one gal, and we ended up doing it, really having some insight on what was going on. But the beauty is flipping it and then deciding what you intentionally want to be doing and result you want to make. A lot of people use this on, we could put, the result line could be new job. The result line could be handling the executive orders. You get to decide exactly what you want to think and feel and how you want to be acting during it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions? At all? I'm going to take a picture. Okay, I'm going to erase it. Would anybody like to work the model either in an intentional way or for more insight? Like, what is going on with me that I'm so upset about blank? Or like just a space you don't want to be in, that's where we coach it this way. Or we do what Cheryl was talking is like, wait, how do I do this backwards and use this intentionally? Would anybody like to work on this with me? What result do you want to create? Or what thought would you like to get rid of and you don't know why it's there, or a feeling that you want to get rid of or shift?
Well, while everybody else is thinking about it, I really do like that reverse engineer part.
Yes.
I like that.
Where
My
do you want to
mind,
start? Do you want a result that you want to create or a feeling?
a feeling,
Okay. And how would you love to feel?
or just relieved, satisfied, calm again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All is well. All goes well. Everything turns out fine.
Yeah. So those are some of your thoughts to intentionally think.
Mm-hmm.
Everything does turn out fine.
Mm-hmm.
What are, when you even think about each one, this might be some journaling work for you to do after, is when you think very specifically about what's going on in your business and where this has been triggered, what makes you feel relieved? What way of thinking makes you feel relieved? Let's start there.
Way of thinking. Let me talk it out and you
Yeah,
can
go
pull
ahead. Like
whatever
that makes
is
you
the
feel
right
relieved.
thing. Knowing that I have a team to support me, I'm relieved when my clients are satisfied and happy, like thrilled with the result. And I'm relieved when I know that the process worked. Thing about my process working. And so I'm always relieved when it works. So that's on the business side. But on some of the personal stuff, again, it is that it turns out the way it should. And then again, everybody being satisfied, right, with the direction that they're going in.
So I hear an invitation to trust what you've like, especially around the business example. What are
Mm-hmm.
ways that you can build more trust in what you've created? Is it trusting yourself to delegate well with the team? Like, and this is a nuance here. Is there a place where you can be more aware when clients are getting off? Sorry, the lights kind of.
That's okay. We can still see.
Yeah. When clients, like, because there's always an opposite to this, like that things fall apart and a client's unhappy or that the process doesn't work. Those are the things that jack up, that disrupt the relieved thing.
And I
But
just had that experience too.
there, see, right? Like we can trust it, but what is coming up that might need to be solved as a prep? Like it's giving you an awareness that I think is deeper. So I can when these were the things that came up to mind, I can let my team support me better. Is this higher communication then? Will you be more
You
relieved if,
took the word right out of my mouth and I wrote it down here, communication.
yeah,
Because with the project that just ended that was incomplete, not our fault. I just have to
yeah.
say that because that's, for lack of a better word, it wasn't our fault that the project didn't get completed. But the reason I was able to let it go with grace and gratitude was because we communicated the entire time.
Yep. Because you really knew what was up and you took responsibility as a team for what you could do
Yes.
and you let it go.
Yep.
And what I
So
feel like this
communication.
is building evidence that I can trust my team might be what gives you relief. How about
Mm-hmm.
you try that
Okay.
on?
I like
I
that.
can trust my team. Where am I? And then
Mm-hmm.
even like every day is not perfect. Like where do I feel like there's a hole there? What do I need to do as an owner to check in? Because if we're managing a team, it's not about delegating and abdication of not being
Mm-hmm.
involved, but you create a relieved feeling by knowing I can trust my team. I will respond and communicate when I need to.
Okay.
Like it's
Yes.
just creating new story that creates this better feeling state.
Yes. That's good.
Now, how I have an idea around satisfied. You can take this circumstance as a perfect example. The circumstance of like not completing a project, which can feel awful to any person that does a business where you give them their product. Like you have like actionable results that you create for them. So your brain could be invited to be not great about that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I just heard is the satisfaction can come from we communicate well, we took responsibility, and even though this project did not complete fully, I am satisfied that we did everything we could. So
Okay.
when we want to be satisfied or feel confident or feel like, and this, Rebecca, this could be for you, is going for the evidence of what makes you confident. Like our brain, when you're doing something new, a new test, you've done it, but you've not done it successfully yet. And now it's like the job is to be collecting positive data so that you are feeling satisfied.
Mhm.
It's like putting the brain to work in a very positive way. This is why I will go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I am trying to take practice tests just to remind myself that yes, I can do this better than I thought. And I just took 14 hard word problems today and I got 13 right. And I put
Oh
smiley
God.
faces next to each of them to remind me
Yes.
that like this doesn't have to be the end of me.
Yes.
Yay.
And oh, that's so good because our brain will almost subconsciously seek out negative data. That's almost like the default. But when we get more actively managing it, we can seek out the good and build ourselves back up. And that's how we create confidence and stability in the way that we show up in the world. I love that. Great example. Anita, is there anything else that's coming? Like, what would help you to feel calm? And then what's getting your attention that's a little jaggedy? There's always a flip side to it, but it helps us to have insight on what we need to do in our businesses.
I think what would let me feel calm is for me to, again, guess it goes back to trust, to just
Yeah.
allow. I really
Yeah.
think everything just needs to
Yeah.
play out. It's
Yes.
probably fine already.
Yeah.
It's my planner brain that wants to get
Yeah.
all the pieces and I want to know all the things and the how and when
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but it will be fine. So I just need to just trust the process
Yeah.
and allow it.
The unknown is a place that triggers our brain to like look at the pandemic, look at the natural like feeling state we're in when we're in a job hunt. The unknown, but it's almost like this is when I was creating my business and I had not really made any dollars yet. I had made some, but the ways that I worked this model then was if you already had 6 clients, how would you be acting? How would you be behaving? And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd be so confident and I would be getting all these great conversations. And it's not play acting. It's like, oh, I would be posting on social media the things I'm thinking about. I would be inviting more people in the room because I would be experiencing this great success with 6 clients. And you almost picture yourself in the result line like vision casting for you, Anita, could be how do you want to feel and what do you literally want to see in June? And how can you just feel that right now? That is the feeling state that will create it and kind of get over the bumps that are normal, like having a client project not go the way you had hoped.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Loved it. Any questions after doing that with Anita? Any questions at all? All right. Anybody else want to do it? Don't be bashful.
Well, I had this opportunity before, so I won't dig into it. I just have a question.
Yes. There's not a limit on how often you get coached, though, in my group.
Well, it's kind of it's in the category of frequency or trying to get into your head right now, Diane. Do you go through this for yourself or just
More
about,
intuitively, yes.
I mean, just
Yes.
because what I'm feeling today after the last time reading a little bit more about it is, I mean, obviously there's usefulness in repetition and hearing other examples
Yeah.
like he does in the woman's from last time too, and seeing some examples that I saw. And I guess for me, like I know I should drink 8 glasses of water a day. I know I should probably meditate for 2 to 3 minutes a day. And I guess I should probably do this. I'm not trying to make it feel like a chore, meditation or drinking water.
Right.
I look to being able to, I guess, to be intuitive about it.
Yeah.
I think you are.
And I think what resonates as a practice, and we can talk about this a little bit here, like, do you do you like journaling?
No,
Do you, that's fine.
but I have actually thought about this with the action being, or is it the feel? No,
It's
I
okay.
don't. But I wish I could be like, I wish I could get up at 5 and go exercise. I wish I did
Yeah.
like journal.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish I did meditate.
Yeah. So the work for you is taking one of those things that is really important to you and see what thought is making you not do it.
And the action then is the not, I mean, let's just
Yeah.
take
So the
one.
result, like the action and the result is not like the result could be I'm not a great journaler. Like we make a whole story and decision. I hate journaling when that's like the bottom line. Like, but what it could be is like there is an intuitive thing about doing awareness on thought work that I will just tell you, it can feel very uncomfortable because we get real with what we are thinking. That's why coaching is so powerful is when I am thinking the worst things about myself, my coach will see it and not let me stay there. So I benefited from coaching so much that it's just part of that's my school. Like that's the way that I keep my craft alive. And I don't expect everyone else to embrace it as much as I do, but it is uncomfortable to realize that you've been thinking these negative thoughts about yourself. But that's where the compassion comes. So, can you be honest about why you haven't journaled? How does it feel to get up and get the book out? What happens for you then in that moment? So, does it feel awkward? Yeah, yeah, you can
Yeah, you're
even.
really asking me.
Yeah, I was and I wasn't. Like it was rhetorical, but it's like we have the time. Like, what is coming up for you in that moment that you take? Like, this is for all of us. What happens in the moment that we're about to study for an exam, or we're about to call leads, or we're about to apply for jobs, or we are about to do something that we said we wanted to do, but why aren't we doing it? That it was what happened for me. I'd work all week on a 1.5 page blog. Would take all week. Now it takes me 5 minutes because I know I like crafted this like what do they say? What do they like? I've gotten through all the negative thinking that was abrupting those actions as a new business owner. So for you, what is the feeling in that moment, Cheryl, about when you're about to think about
I
journaling?
yeah, feeling I haven't seen since I don't do it. I used
Yeah.
to, by the way. So I
Yeah.
have a memory of doing
Yeah.
it. But that at the moment, this is not very rational, but or whatever, it's true, is that I'm wasting time. If
Yeah.
I could be.
What if it is that simple? What if it is that simple? We can have these bottom line subconscious. We can even have it about working out. No, I should be working. We can have it about when we allow, like when you honored and were vulnerable and shared with me, that is the thought. It even seems a little silly because it's something you want to do, like working out or journaling. I'm wasting time. How does that feel in your body? How does that feel? What's the emotion? I'm wasting time.
I feel like I'm not being very nice to myself.
Yeah.
Um,
And so,
and I think I know that it's not a waste of time.
right, right. But
Oh.
the I'm wasting time is I will just honor that it's probably a deep imprint from corporate work, from ways that you grew up. Like I have had clients that they cannot sit idly because their father had a whole way of like, no, like life is wasted if you're not doing something all the time. And then we learn the power of rest and all these disruptive behaviors to that. But we wonder why it's so hard to do. That probably comes from a more subconscious, my worthiness is based on work and I should always be doing something and it like something outside ourselves. And it's like, this might be as simply, I'm worth the time. I'm going to see how this works out. And try some new things like working out at 5 a.m. Don't do it every day. Choose a day. Then choose a journaling day. And watch the mind bring up, I'm wasting time, and go, thank you, brain. But I am worth the time. I'm going to take and set a timer so your brain doesn't get to interrupt your time with yourself. Journaling is actually one of the most loving, graceful places when we can engage in it, because it's literally conversations with ourselves. And it is hard for us to be that gracious towards ourselves. It's not natural. So that I invite you. Do you have any other questions? Is that helpful enough
No,
to try?
Yeah, that was helpful.
Okay.
Yes.
There's always some sneaky subconscious way that we're talking ourselves out of things almost in the background. Anybody else? Something you'd love to create? A different way you'd like to feel? All right. I think we've come to the close. Oh, wait a second. I'm getting text messages. All right. This is the work I do. Especially early in working with clients, we get into the thought and the moments and like, why am I not doing what I intend on doing? I want to be resting more, or doing these things in my life, or I want to be full steam ahead, taking all this action towards getting a new job or passing this exam. But our brains can really not be our best agent. And in this next week, after you have just I love that you came. I love that you shared what is on your mind. This is the place where you get really curious in a journaling way, and even on just a normal piece of scrap paper. When you're in that moment, a thought download, write everything you're thinking in that moment. And then you can say, it's even silly, like Cheryl did, like that I'm wasting time. Isn't that ridiculous? Our brain is doing what it's doing. And when we get onto it by awareness, we can go, that's silly. That's something I decided to do. I'm going to do it anyway. Thanks, brain. But doing a thought download when we're in a very overwhelming situation or in high anxiety, it can get it out on paper. So we're looking at it. It's not in our brain actively thinking all this negative thought, because if we actively think I'm wasting my time journaling, we're never going to journal, even though we wanted to. We get to take our agency back by watching our thinking and shifting to, I'm investing some time. I'm going to journal. I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to be curious about what happens if I journal. Being lighter with ourselves when we make a shift is also a really great way to create intentional action. Any other questions, or anybody else like to go through an intentional or a insight model with me? Any questions? All right. I thank you for your time. The work I'm doing right now is helping people that are making shifts in their identities. They're selling their business. They're running a business. They're in a divorce. They're scaling for the first time. Anita and I were able to work together when she started really investing in her team. It was gorgeous to watch. I work one-off sessions where it's just you and I for 90 minutes, and I coach you for 10 days on Voxer, on an app where we can go back and forth. It's a great one. It's a great place to get the clarity and the ease and some momentum going if you can engage in a coaching series. I have short-term series that are 6 sessions long, and we plunk them on the calendar. And that is a great way to do high impact short-term coaching. And I work with people for a year, 6 months and a year. Most of my engagements now are very long-term, and I love working with people over the course with a great intention of what we're creating. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about this. I always do a follow-up email. And in that, I will send a link to other events that I'm doing that are open to everyone. I am in a space that I really would like to start creating more community. And I may be offering some ways that we meet more regularly. And it's part of like a mastermind group, a small group, where people that want to be doing this work and creating results can benefit from group coaching. Just let me know if something piques your interest. And for those that do not have jobs, I can do a pro bono session because this is a time when your finances are very different. And I know that coaching investments in those phases of life can be really difficult. And I offer those pro bono sessions to people that do not have a job at the current time. And I welcome those. So if there's anyone you know that is really looking for a coach, if you would like to dig deeper and create more support, I'm a guide to your best future. What you most are craving in your life is so possible. And life coaching can really help you shift from a way of doing business like retiring or going into a new job space and do it in a way that's more fun and faster results. All right. Any questions before I say goodbye? Of course.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Oh, you're welcome. I love doing these. And there's another one at noon on Monday. Feel free to sign up. My events page is full of, I think I'm doing a birthday breakfast. I'm finding out when I'm seeing my kids this evening, and we'll go from there. So I love you all and thank you for being here today.
Thanks again, dear.
It's an honor.
Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Let me know if
you.
you have questions. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Patrick, for being the new one on the scene. Thanks for being here.